Hey everybody, welcome back to the Armed Scotsman. Today on the table we have a PSA Olcan Bullpup chambered in 5.56. Let's get this one going. Alright folks, as I said, this is a PSA Olcan / Jackal chambered, a Bullpup chambered in 5.56. So it is a combination of a Jackal upper and the Olcan lower, making this a Bullpup. First things first, it comes in at a weight of 8.5 pounds, and you will feel that weight. So it is a chunky boy with a overall length of just over 26 inches, making it a short, chunky boy. The actual, just so we're clear, this is not SBR, this is not pistol, this is rifle length, because it has a this one has a 14.5 pinned and welded with the muzzle device, making overall length of 16 inches, hence making this still a rifle. Okay, so let's kind of start at the back and work our way forward. So we have a nice rubber butt pad, you got some QD sling attachments, OG sling attachments. Now this actually is all one piece, the actual lower part, going all the way along here. This is all one piece, okay? So moving along, you have your, well, this is the upper, we'll skip that for a sec. Moving down, you have your mag release, then you have a ambient mag release, so you have it on both sides, bolt catch and release. It does come with a standard capacity magazine if your state allows it. And there is your mag well. Moving along to the front, you have that Kung Fu grip. It's like die-free company, Kung Fu grip, I think it's called. I kind of like the angle. It feels pretty good. First time I've played with one of these. It doesn't have a storage compartment, which is fine, but it has a nice texturing and a nice cutout here, giving you a pretty nice grip to hold on to. Let's go, and then, well, you get your trigger guard here. It's all one piece, can't be changed out. And then you have your trigger. Bullpups are not known for having particularly good triggers. This is no different. The one thing I did notice on this though, which I thought was interesting, is the amount of play, how loose that is on this trigger. I did watch some other reviews to see if it was just mine, but it seems like it's others too. That is all, it's so loose, it's so crazy. Kind of blew my mind. Again, bullpup triggers are kind of unique, right? Because you have your trigger here, but you have, like, your hammer is all the way back here. And so, I mean, I get it. It's hard to make these kind of nice triggers when you've got such a weird system, in my opinion. But anyway, let's check out the trigger. That safety off. So you got a safety on that side, non-ambidextrous, so just the one safety. So take up. Can you just hear that? It just blows my mind. Okay, so you're at the wall. You got a little bit more after the wall, just a little bit, and then your brake. Brake actually feels okay. Reset. And it's positive and tactile. You hear that thump. It's just not a great trigger, and again, that's just how bullpups are, which is fine. I mean, it's not terrible, it's just not good. Okay, so moving it back up here, this piece, I'll show you how to take this down, but this piece slides over your pick rail on top, because again, this is a Jackal handguard. So when that slides in, this is over it, so when you put your cheek weld on it, it protects it. Without that, you're going to tear your face up on that pick rail. So the actual upper is a standard PSA Jackal upper. I have reviewed the Jackals before, if you want to check out the full review of those. Brass deflector, ejection port, monolithic upper, meaning all one piece. So that is actually really cool, depending on where you have to mount your optics. Like in an AR-15, typical AR-15, you know, you've got to worry about the break between the handguard and the upper receiver. Don't have to worry about it, because it's all one piece, and that actually comes in handy, and I'll tell you why in a second. But yeah, pick rail all the way along. You do have QD sling attachments on either side of your handguard, and then you have your M-lock slots all the way around. You do have some lightning cuts. These are going to be lightning cuts, and I'm assuming to help the piston system keep cool, and you've got a couple of cutouts on the top of your handguard as well. So You do have a side charging handle. It can be changed to the other side if you want to. So this is your side charging handle. Has some nice texturing all the way around. A little PSA Jackal logo. Now, one of the things that I noticed when I was shooting pretty quick was when I had an EOTech on top of this. Now, I like my EOTech my optics to kind of sit about here, right? It's very similar to an AR-15. However, the way that EOTech sat lower, a little lower on this handguard, every time I try to rack this with the charging handle, I was cutting my finger on the EOTech because there's very little room between that charging handle and an EOTech, and I mean very little, to the point where at long term, I would have to change the optics. There's no way I could keep an EOTech on here unless I moved it forward. And that's what I was saying, like, you know, you can move your optic forward. I don't like my optics that far forward, but you can because there's no break. It's monolithic, so you don't have to worry about it. So if you're putting an optic on this, yeah, bear in mind, yeah, you might run into issues with the charging handle depending on what mount and optic that you put on. And as I said, you can change it and put the charging handle onto the other side if you would like. So yeah, QD sling attachments, M-lock slots, beneath the handguard is the 14.5 inch 4150 chrome moly steel barrel, 1-in-7 twist with a 1/2x28 thread pitch. We also have a long stroke piston system below here with an adjustable gas block. We'll talk about that in just a second. And then you have a JMac brake up here with a Chemo adapter for a suppressor if you want to put one on. So a couple of things. Yes, so this is adjustable gas block. So yes, an adjustable gas block. It took me a hot minute to find the right setting for my dead air Sandman that I put on here to run with it. So there's a couple of things to note here with being just in general, right? So because I put the suppressor on it and I was adjusting it to find the right setting, you know, I was setting shot, whatever. I was getting issues, which is fine because, you know, I'm just trying to find the right setting for the adjustable gas block. But because the way the manual of arms is on a Bullpup, maybe it's just because I'm not used to it, right? Maybe it's just a training issue. But if you had you know, when I was getting these jams and I was having to clear it, it was a royal pain in my ass compared to an AR-15. And again, this could just solely be a training issue on my end because the majority of the time I only ever shoot AR-15s. But I didn't find it intuitive. I found it difficult, you know, because the controls are back here. It was just weird. I did not enjoy it, trying to clear those jams. And I felt like it did take a little longer. And again, it could be just a training issue to actually clear jams the way it was. So that was one thing that I thought was, even though it was a pain, it was good that I learned, you know, having jams and how to clear this gun. I did not particularly like it. So that was that. The other problem that I had shooting suppressed, because it's not, obviously Dead Air Sandman is not a flow-through suppressor, and then the ejection port being this close to my face and the amount of gas coming back was crazy. It was extremely gassy to the point where, you know, and you'll see the shooting footage, usually I do, where I film it for the start of the videos, but I go and shoot at ranges, indoor ranges. I mean, if I'm zeroing or if I'm testing whatever, or you know, I don't always film is what I'm basically saying, but when I film, I'm just, you know, I take quick shots, it looks good for the camera, all that kind of fun stuff. That's typically why I film it. But I can tell you what, just taking like a bunch of quick shots, the amount of gas, it was awful, so bad, to the point where I would be like, okay, I'd hold my breath and do a bunch of shots, and I'd have to turn away and take a breath because it was that gassy. It was very, very bad. So obviously a flow-through suppressor could fix that problem. Unsuppressed, it was still gassy, but it wasn't like horrendous like it was with a regular suppressor on there. But maybe a flow-through suppressor would fix that issue, but it's something that you definitely need to be aware of because it was very unpleasant to shoot with that Dead Air Sandman on it. Let's go ahead and take it apart, show you the inside real fast. There's two pins similar to an AR-15. There's one there, and then there's this front one which is pretty stiff. Okay, so this is the lower that you would slide your upper into. As I said, here is your actual hammer, right? But then your trigger's here and hammer's back here. This is why I think they find it very hard to obviously make a decent trigger because the system's kind of weird. But overall, the actual lower isn't that heavy. It's very similar to a standard AR-15 lower in regards to weight. But yeah, that is the lower that you put it in. And you can, if you want, you can just get, if you already own a jackal, you can just buy one of these and throw your upper in here if you want. But this is the upper receiver. Here is that piece I said it slides, kind of just slides in there, right? Oops. Like so. If you want to take out the insides, you're just going to push in and down, and that will pop out. This is your guide rod and spring, essentially, right there. And then just pull back on your charging handle, and that should pull out. At this point, if you want to change out your charging handle, you would pull it away to the back, you pull it out, and then you can see the slot there. You would just slot it back in to, if you want to switch it over. All right, so we're back together. Let's talk about shooting the gun. Shooting it unsuppressed wasn't too bad. It was pretty flat shooting, had no real problems. It's interesting because the ejection port is right here. That brass flying out is kind of a distraction because it's so close to your face. You're like, ooh. Running suppressed, again, once I found the setting, you know, it ran generally just fine. It was just the sheer amount of gas coming back, as I've already said to you, was pretty insane. If you, I didn't do an accuracy test with this because I've already done accuracy tests with the jackals. You can check the full jackals, and it's going to be the same because it's using the same upper, so you can go check that out. Accuracy isn't crazy good, but it's not terrible. Okay, final thoughts on this. I'm not a big bullpup fan in general, so please, you know, like, I'm not hating on the gun, but I'm just trying to point out things that I didn't like. I don't love the manual of arms, and again, that's all that's all bullpups. It's not just Olcan. Again, I think it could probably just mostly is a training issue. It is hefty, coming in at 8.5 pounds. Just in this review, like holding this for so long, I can feel it. Like, it's not a light gun, to say the least. The trigger is, the amount of slop in that, how loose that is wild to me. And it's not a great trigger. The actual compactness of it and actual shooting is good though. I did enjoy shooting it. But there's a few things that I just didn't overly like. The fit and finish seems pretty good as always. But there's things that I didn't love on the gun, which I'm sure you can probably tell throughout the review. Would I choose this combo of Olcan Jackal over a Jackal? No, I just buy a Jackal personally. That's what I would do. If you have a Jackal, complete Jackal or a Jackal upper and you want something a little different, a little fun, yeah, maybe the Olcan is good for you. If you want something that's smaller and more compact for whatever reason, then the Olcan could very well be for you. My overall thoughts on it was, I didn't love it. It might be one of my least favorite PSA firearms, but that could be just because it's a bullpup, and I don't love bullpups. But anyway, sorry, I'm trying not to be biased in any kind of way against or towards. I'm just trying to give you the info that I have. But that's it. If you have any questions, any comments, please ask below. Happy to help out however I can. And that's it. Until next time, I'll catch you later.